right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to Virtual Racing Network. Tonight, as you can see, we are here at Michigan. I believe it's International Speedway, but either way, we're at Michigan here for tonight's race for the Racecore Iracing Drivers World Racing Series. We have a lot of drivers in here ready to get started here in the next 10 minutes. But before we do that, we need to go through all of the sponsors that make this race and this broadcast possible. Of course, starting with the racing side of things, big shout out to Dan Butler Designs, Leo's Coney Island out of Rochester Hills, and Global Building Contractors, all general sponsors here for tonight's race. And of course, you can't forget iRacing Drivers World, your presenting sponsor here for tonight's race. So definitely make sure you check these guys out on Facebook and on their websites and support them here today. And of course, on the broadcast side of things, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the following sponsors here for 2018. One of those, of course, is Walls Beard Co. Beard Balm. If you have a beard, gentlemen, you need to take care of it. There's no better way to do so than with some Walls Beard Co. Beard Balm, all natural and organic products. SimSpeedShop.com, your one-stop shop for custom button boxes and e-brakes. If you're an iRacer, both of these items are a must, so go check them out and you buy one or both of those products at SimSpeedShop.com. Northwest Racing Series, your official one-to-go sponsor for tonight's race. If you like some Xfinity and truck racing, well, then you can check them out here on Monday and Wednesday night at 10:30 p.m. Central Time right here on Virtual Racing Network. Ohio IndyCar League. If you're looking to get some IndyCar racing into your life, there's no better place to go than Ohio IndyCar League. They are no longer just taking Ohio club members, and if you want to get all the latest information, you can head on over to Facebook at facebook.com/Ohio IndyCar League to get that information. And last but not least, that is iBog, iRacing Broadcast Overlay Graphics, your sim race broadcast graphic source. If you're looking to get into broadcasting or just need some overlays for streaming, make sure you check them out at ibog.co to get started. And of course, next on the list of things to do, that is introducing our second chair here for tonight. And again, we're going to introduce him, but say he needs no introduction anyway. That is the professional champion, and he's got about 10 different titles around here. That is our second chair, Jeff Stabnow.
Yeah, and only two of those titles are good, so I'm glad you picked those two, Charles. Good to be here. I haven't been into the Racecore, on to help you with one of these Racecore series in a little while now, so always one of my favorite series to call. Fantastic group of drivers here, great people. So just excited to stop back by and glad you let me in the booth tonight.
Well, we're definitely glad to have you here. So we got a little bit of a long race here tonight. 90 laps doesn't seem too long when you think about, you see some that are 150, 180, almost 200 laps. But those are shorter tracks. This is a 2-mile track. We have 90 laps and 180 miles here tonight. I believe pit road speed is 50 miles per hour. I didn't get a chance to confirm that. But unless you were able to get one, we have a fuel run here to 22 to 23 laps, and that was a driver that told us they ran out of fuel on lap 23, so they will have to come in by then.
Yeah, I pretty much got here about the time you were all through the advertisers, so I did not get a chance to talk to drivers, but 22, 23 laps on the fuel window with fuel restrictions does not sound too far out of line here.
And go ahead. I was thinking on the, say, 22 to 23 laps, probably they're going to come in around 22, I would imagine, to be safe. And that's going to be interesting because that's going to put it roughly at almost a almost four stops here for this race tonight.
Yeah, I think, based on what you're saying, they're going to have to make 4 stops. And it wouldn't surprise me to see them back that up a little bit around lap 18 or so. I haven't run Michigan in these cars in a long, long time. And so I'm not real familiar with the fixed set in these cars, but they're close enough to the NASCAR stuff that I I run a lot of, that I can tell you that Michigan it's got a little bit lower banking than you think it does. It carries a lot of speed, and you really work those tires. Those tires on this track, these cars get really loose, like hard to hang on to. And so, yeah, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys short pitting a little bit, just because they want fresh tires.
Yeah, it definitely is. And hopefully all of that went through. We did have to restart our stream here just a minute for OBS. Getting some word from Mikey Neal, or Mikey Neal's dad, Mike Neal, that the sound was messed up and stuttering, so we restarted. But hopefully most of that went through. We tried to wait till you were just about done before we did restart it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they do kind of short pit it here on the one to do that. I am very curious if they could get exactly 23 laps. That would be you do the math. That's 66 laps, and then another 20 on there would be 80. So I'm wondering if there's a chance they could possibly make it on 3.
Well, you got to throw in pit stops too, right? So let's say we can do 23 laps exactly on all these, and of course it's always odd that, you know, it never works out in your favor that you run out of gas right as you're pulling into your pit stop, right? So usually you waste about 3/4 of a lap of gas, but let's just say that we get 23 laps of gas, and like you said, we make 2 pit stops. That's 3 fuel runs, right? That's actually 69 laps, and then another 20. You know, that would put us up there to what, 89? So another 23 would put us up to 92. So it puts us over our window there. You know, 4 runs, so 3 pit stops, 4 runs of 23 laps would definitely put us in our window. But man, that's tight. And if you're only getting 22 laps, obviously you come up a little short, and you've got to account for some cautions in there. So a lot of strategy at play tonight. There's going to be some guys that say, you know what, I can't do this. I'm going to short pit early, get new tires, take advantage of the speed that I gain. And then you've got some guys that are probably going to, you know, try to win on field strategy. So going to be real interesting how this plays out.
Yeah, it does. And of course, that doesn't count anything into cautions. We have heard this car is really loose. And in practice, we did see a few cars spinning, causing a wreck or two. Yeah, anything is possible here in this race. We'll see how it goes. I know we have currently 28 drivers here for tonight's race. With 2 minutes left on the clock, we're going to go ahead and step away for the national anthem. Then, of course, we will be back here very quickly as we're going to cover all of the racing action here tonight. We'll see, will there be a few cautions? Will there be no cautions? We don't know, but we will find out here once we get going racing. But until then, we will be right back after your national anthem with qualifying.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? O'er the land the home of the brave.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're getting over to the 78 of John Van Verelles here, or as I like to refer to it, the Krispy Kreme car here earlier. And we watched him earlier. He was out there when they did one of their pit parties. We almost had some Budweiser flavored Krispy Kreme donuts because Mikey Neal and him almost got together on the track. So I'm not sure I'd be a fan of Budweiser tasting Krispy Kreme donuts.
Charles, yep, forgive me here for a second. My ATVO standings just died here, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot everything, and I'll join you right back. But I do like me some Krispy Kremes.
I do indeed. And we'll see what kind of time she's going to put in. Right now, nobody officially has put in a time. But Jamir Muhammad, Charles Hoffman on the track, Justin Starr, Brandon Young, Jason Covington, Brian Bizzle out on the track, Mikey Neal on the track, and there Alex Huffman will officially put in his first time lap, and it will be a 38.912 to put him on pole here. So we'll go ahead and pull up your times. Right now, it's John Van Verelles in that 78 machine. He is second fastest, followed by Jason Covington and David Gainforth, and Reese Milton in fifth place right now is actually sixth, as it looks like Brandon Dorsett's going to get into fifth now as Mike Rigney's going to take the pole. And looks like Jeff's still getting his stuff in, so we'll see here. Alex Huffman's still in the second. John Van Verelles still third. There is Brandon Dorsett in fifth place right now with a 39.148. Justin Starr currently 10th place with a fast time of a 39.436. We'll see as they are still changing it up. Looks like Charles Hoffman going to go to third place with a 39.058 as he's scraping the walls. Looks next lap will not count. We're going to go back here. We do have a brand new driver here, Jeff. So since you seem to be back here, I think it is the 19. The correct pronunciation of that name is Francois Peltier is actually how you say the name. I actually had to go and confirm that with him to make sure we got it right tonight.
Well, welcome to the league there, Francois. Great group of guys you're running with here. You've actually got several new drivers to me. Not having called a lot of the races this season, a lot of new drivers in here that I'm not familiar with. Of course, a lot of the old ones I'm very familiar with, and even one driver who's new to this league as far as I can tell, but I'm also very familiar with because he runs in a couple of my leagues.
Yeah, Josh Coley new here, as well as Sterling Smith. He's actually new to me as well. We'll go over to Josh Coley in that number 33. Interstate Batteries, nice looking paint job as well. And he actually did, I believe, fourth in his very first race here. So, or it might have been his second race, but so either way, coming in very strong, representing Northwest here, the Northwest Club. And he's going to probably do good here tonight. Seventh fastest just now with a 39.119.
Yeah, Josh Coley, very good driver. He's a fast driver. He's a real race car driver, and he's just a racer at heart, got that mentality. So I think he'll do well here. But, man, he's got some stiff competition here. I don't know who else has stepped up here, but I'll tell you what, Jamir Muhammad and Mikey Neal are just kind of in a league of their own. And, you know, Josh Coley, I think he's only been on Iracing for about a year, so reminds me a lot of where Mikey Neal was maybe about 6 or 8 months ago. as far as his driving. So good to see him get in this league, and you know, hopefully he can give these guys a little bit of competition. Like you said, a couple other new guys I'm not real familiar with, don't know much about, but man, there's a lot of old familiar names here. Alex Huffman, Charles Hoffman, John Van Varillas, Jason Covington, Mike Rigney, you know, just guys in the top 10 are all pretty familiar names. Raymond Jaeger there is new to me, though. Has he been here for a while this season?
He is not. This, I believe, is his first race as well, as I have not seen him before either. So there are a lot of new drivers here. So I'm kind of impressed that we got new drivers coming in a little bit into the season, and also excited to see how they do.
Yeah, me too. I see that we got a lot of guys. Got a couple guys in the high 2,000-3,000 I rating here. So we've got I think Mikey Neal and Jameer Muhammad are kind of 4,000 I rating guys. Having raced with, like I said, Josh Culley, I think he can, compete at that with guys like that. We know that Alex Huffman can. Jason Covington's in that range, and I'm curious to see what some of these new guys got. They've just for the little bit we can see, they look impressive.
Yeah, definitely do. And speaking of impressive, it looks like all of them are on the line. It's time to go ahead and get through the Wolfsbeard Co. starting grid. We got 28 drivers here, so Jeff, you want to go through our first 6 rows, and then I will bring it home.
Yeah, absolutely. On the pole, we got the 8 car of Mikey Justified Neal. On the outside front row, the other driver we've been talking about is one of the favorites here, the number 2 car of Jameer Muhammad. In row 2, we've got the 30 of Mike Rigney and the 83 of Alex Huffman. In row 3, we've got the 63 of Charles Hoffman and the 78 of John Van Varillas. In row 4, we've got the 10 of Jason Covington and the 33 of Josh Culley. In row 5, we've got the 23 of Raymond Jaeger and the 5 of Brandon Dorsett. In row 6, we got the 101 of David Gainforth, and rounding out your top 12 is the 76 of Reese Milton.
In row 7 is going to be the 19 of Francois Peltier and the 51 of Brandon Young. In row 8 is going to be the 50 of Sterling Smith and the 91 of Jim Locking. Row 8 is going to be the 99 of Justin Starr and the 64 of Tony Rice. Row 10 is going to be the 40 of Sal Casey and the 75 of Bill Edwards. Row 11 is going to be Brian Dorsey, and the 28 of Brian Bizzle. Row 12 is going to be the 56 of Mike Taylor and the 14 of Tyler Rawlins. Row 13 is going to be the 6 of Matthew Ellis and the 70 of Sam Crow. And rounding out the field here tonight is going to be the 00 of Scott Masick and the 31 of Scotty Zerk. Just in time, the pace car dives off. Mikey Neal gets a huge jump, and there's the green flag in the air. Mikey Neal got a huge jump on that start, though.
Yeah, and I've got a little bit of an issue here, Charles. I seem to be slightly delayed, and timing screen's not working here, so I'm going to have to load out and try to load back in. Not sure what's going on here, but I'm about 30 seconds behind here.
Oh, that is not good. Definitely. You might check your thing. Make sure it's not in replay mode somehow. It does happen.
It's not. First place I went, buddy.
Well, that is not good. Well, hopefully it'll get sorted out, and we'll look for you to be back here in a second. Meanwhile, while he reloads, we're going to go back here. We may have a little bit of battle position. Mike Rigney gets by the 2 of Jameer Muhammad, and he will take that position. Huffman battling for 3rd position right now with Mike Rigney, as Jameer Muhammad's going to get back by him. Once again, let's dip down low here. Again, it looks like, just to update everyone here, as we're on already lap number 2. We're going to go back here and watch this group. Scott Masick, Bill Edwards, and Tyler Rowland did not start the race here, so 3 drivers did not take to the grid. 25 drivers did start the race. We're glad to have all of them here, and we'll see how this race goes. As the camera gets in focus there a little bit, they all come through the little tri-oval here. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. And looks like, Jeff, you are back.
Well, we are trying to get back here, Charles. I think right now we're still loading up. I'm actually watching the broadcast, which, as we know, is slightly delayed from where we're at, but things are starting to get loaded here now, and just trying to get caught up.
Well, it'll be interesting. Hopefully it is back to where it should be when you get going here. And one thing we did not get to go over here a little earlier, we'll go over it now while you're watching the 56, and that's important because that is Mike Taylor. He is one of your drivers of 4 that got EOLs here tonight that we forgot to mention. Scotty Zerk, Sal Casey, Mike Taylor, and Brian Dorsey. Those were your 4 end-of-line penalties here for the start of this race. So that is why those drivers were at the back. So I look to see these guys coming forward, especially Sal Casey. We've seen him be very fast, and so has Mike Taylor in the last couple of races. So I definitely look forward to seeing these guys work their way to the front of this field.
Yeah, a couple more drivers I'm not real familiar with. I think they've joined since I was last year. I may have done one race with Sal Casey and Mike Taylor. I don't think they're completely new, but I believe that was a super speedway. So always good to keep an eye on fast guys coming from the back. But so often, especially when you get a field like this, coming from the back, if you're a fast driver, it's just a game of patience. At least for me, a lot of times that's my undoing is trying to remain patient and get to the back, especially if you get these long green flag runs. It's real easy to convince yourself you're losing too much ground, and so see how patient they are and how well they do, and if they can get through the field in one piece.
Yeah, definitely that is the key. One piece is that's another big thing that we haven't talked about yet is with these cars. Unlike their newer counterparts, as these were the old NASCAR, this is what NASCAR used to be like. They are now car of tomorrow, car of the future, aerodynamics out the wazoo. That is not how these cars are. These cars were built for racing. You could beat and bang them a lot, but here on Iracing, especially because of how this back bumper is, it's up higher, and those noses getting down there. If you get a lot of cars slamming into the back of each other or even sideways, these cars tend to roll over a lot more than their newer counterparts do. So you can really damage your car pretty quick here tonight.
Well, I think, one of the things is you don't have that nice big splitter out front of that car that's easy to seal up. And on a track like Michigan here where aerodynamics are so key, we're going 200 miles an hour on this track, or 190 anyways. Pretty much what's holding us on this track right now is aerodynamics, and if you start letting that air get underneath that car, then it gets real loose real fast. By loose, I mean the rear tires want to lift up. Air underneath that car wants to lift up that rear end, and everything like the Xfinity cars, the trucks that we're used to driving, they've got this big splitter out front that, it's flat, you can seal it, and here it's almost like a dam, as we got the first caution of the night just came out.
It did indeed, and it is going to involve Brandon Dorsett in the 5, and that Kellogg's machine. Let's go back and take a look and see. I was shocked it didn't happen back with the 56 as we were watching him while you were talking about that aerodynamics. He pancaked it on the side of the wall pretty hard, but that didn't bring out the caution. Everyone got around. We're watching the 5 here of Brandon Dorsett to see what might have happened. And I'm not sure if it started with him or he just became part of it, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, I just caught the tail end of that, and it looked like he just got loose as we were talking about that. But actually somebody in front of him got into the wall, which is what I missed. I think it was a 78. Do we have a 78 driver, John Van Verlis, and a Krispy Kreme?
Yeah, Krispy Kreme's got smashed up there a little bit.
Yeah, he got into the wall and just lost way too much speed for the 5 to react. And 5 got into him, and then we had cars going everywhere. So it was not a case of getting loose. It was a case of getting up into the wall. And it's real hard to run that high line that John Van Verlis was running up there. And that's where you got to run when you turn in. But if you drive it in too deep, you get into this part of the track that's got no grip. And that's probably one of the more treacherous things is running right up against that wall and then turning into the corner there.
Yeah, and just to we were watching that exactly while you were talking about it. The 56 did get involved in this, as well as the 64, and our first-time driver here, Francois Peltier, got involved in that as well. So nowhere for him to go, and he's coming down pit road. But then again, so is the rest of this field. Jamir Muhammad taking the field down pit road. So no surprise here. We're on lap 10, and tires may be a little bit of a factor if they're coming down 10 laps in.
Well, we talked about that in the pre-race, right? We know that you're just running so fast here. You just burn these tires up here. And so we've got a grippy track. I can see that we've got an overcast day, and there's a lot of grip. And I suspect that we're just heating up these tires super fast here and probably getting these cars pretty loose. I mean, without getting in there and driving, that would be my guess. And so no surprise at all that 8-9 laps in, we get a caution and the entire field is coming down for tires.
Yeah, definitely. I am not surprised either. As we're watching pit road here, it looks like Mikey Neal going to come out second, Jamir Muhammad first. So again, something else not too surprised there to see, as between Jamir Muhammad and Mikey Neal, they have led every lap so far that we have completed. So really no surprise there. But we'll see if Alex Huffman maybe can get by him. That is 3 very fast drivers in your top 3 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I suspect that these guys are probably going to have to manage these tires a little bit too. So we may see some of these situations where we've got some guys that are able to go a little faster on the short run and some guys that are a little slower. So now that they kind of got a feel for this, it wouldn't surprise me to see if we do get some lead changes up here. Yeah, I mean, it's just Michigan's just one of those places where, I mean, if you got a loose car, man, you really got to baby that thing. So, and it's also one of those places where those first couple laps on tires, you can absolutely drive the wheels off this thing.
Yeah, you definitely can drive the wheels off, and we're just going to see how this goes and how everything works out. But I'm with you. I think we're going to see quite a few green flag runs, and I think we're going to see some cautions. I don't think we're going to go caution free here tonight, other than, well, obviously we're not now, but I don't think we're going to have, 1 or 2. I think we may have 3 or 4 cautions, partly because of the fact that you said we have so much grip. People are going to try to make moves that they might not be able to do, but they think they can.
Well, early, the hard part is using those tires up early when this thing will stick. I mean, they can make those moves early. It'll definitely stick, and you carry more speed through the corners. You work those tires, and it's almost like a temperature where you get these tires. It just feels like they lose all rigidity. It's like you're driving on Jello cubes. Sometimes it feels like. So, we've got an overcast day. We've got a cool track. We've got Michigan, which is a super fast track. Like I said, I haven't driven these cars on here for a long time, but I suspect here somewhere between 10 and 20 laps, these things turn into a big handful.
I definitely think you're right. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on the, their lap times and all of that once they get going for a long green flag run, assuming we do, and I think we will, as they come to get the green flag. Going into turn 1, we're looking up here at the front. Jamir Muhammad has already pulled a nice little size lead. And it's going to be interesting to watch these front guys, mostly because, we saw in the original restart, Mikey Neal got a huge jump. Jamir caught him and passed him to take the lead. So Jamir obviously, I think, has the faster car here tonight, and Mikey Neal was able to lead some of those laps because he was able to get that jump. So if we have a caution and we come back with maybe like 2 or 3 laps to go, whoever is up front, old or new tires, that may determine, if they can stay out there. On older tires, they might be able to make it if they can get a good jump.
Now, I'll tell you what, I don't think older tires are going to be what you want up front. And, as far as who's faster, I think Michigan is usually one of those tracks where you really have to work so hard to manage your tires. it's hard to tell until we see a full run who's maybe faster or not, right? Somebody might be just running those tires off 7 laps in, and somebody else might be trying to make them last for 15. So hard to say, but I don't think I've ever really been at a Michigan race where you want to be out there. Oh, we got another accident there. I just saw looked like maybe the 99 involved, and I think maybe the 33 at Josh Coley got into him.
And we also have Reese Milton in the 76 into the outside wall hard. So a lot of drivers going involved, but no caution coming out this time, as it looks like some people beating and banging, scraping the wall. But again, no caution coming out as they're 3 wide coming out of the corner back here with Josh Coley.
Yeah, the 33 just did exactly what the 78 at John Van Verlis did there. He got into that wall, entering the corner. We talked about how hard that is. Got it loose, saved it, but got into a couple cars, and fantastic job at driving by all these guys not to lose any spots. But we did collect a few cars in there, or not to lose. I should say not to bring out a caution. Definitely some guys lost some spots.
They did, and more contact is, it looks like, I'm not sure who that is. The 31 of Scotty Zerk just drives right into the back bumper of, I believe, Brandon Dorsett, which shoves him into Josh Coley in the 33, and still no caution, but Scotty Zerk, I don't know if he just lost control of the car or what happened there, but just straight into the back bumper of another car.
Yeah, I just trying to catch up and rewinding that last crash, so I'm not going to be able to actually go look at that one because I didn't get it marked. But definitely getting these things into the corner seems to be the trouble spot tonight from the first 2 crashes. Not sure what happened in the second one. Maybe somebody scraped a wall and, of course, got checked up in front of somebody again.
Yeah, that was very interesting there. Maybe we'll go back and look here if we get a chance. I was able to bookmark it. So we have a note of where it is, and that's going to cause a little bit of damage here, but we're going to go back to the front where Jamir Mohammed still has a sizable lead here at the moment, almost a second over Mikey Neal. So Jamir definitely has a winning ride here tonight. I think it's just going to be a matter of if anybody can catch him by the end of this race. But right now, I want to focus on this battle here, as you got a nice little battle going on between Jason Covington and Alex Huffman.
Yeah, Jason Covington, Alex Huffman running pretty tight there. Alex Huffman, I didn't see Jason Covington overtook him, but I know he started 3rd on this run, so at some point Jason Covington was able to overtake him. We missed that, but Alex Huffman right back all over Covington's bumper there, and looking to get the place back. But what's also surprising here is these guys have really closed that gap to Mikey Neal up there in front of them. So I'm curious as to whether or not Mikey Neal is saving his tires, or if this is just a track that's giving a few problems, because we're used to seeing Mikey Neal up there closer to Jamir Mohammed, at least in the races I've watched, than kind of falling back into the clutches on the long run.
Yeah, well, I will say this for Mikey Neal, and this is a quote from Mikey Neal. At least we'll do best quote we can. I believe his words were, I am going to suck tonight. He does not like this track. He doesn't claim to be good at it. But then again, I will say this about that 8 of Mikey Neal. Tracks that he says he is not going to do good at, he's won at before. So just because he says he's not good at it doesn't mean he doesn't have a chance to win.
Mikey Neal is one of the most humble 16-year-olds that I've ever met in my entire life. So you go talk to Mikey Neal, and he's just pretty amazing kid, and not surprised at all to hear him say he's going to suck at this tonight. It's pretty rare that I hear him ever say that he's going to go out and just win. But that's what he does a lot of. He goes out and wins a lot.
Yeah, he does. And, I don't want to take his spotlight there away, but go back here, if you can, back to 8th place, even really back to 10th place, and look at this group going on back here. That front has kind of thinned out a little bit, but look at this group behind them from 8th all the way probably back down to 16th place. There are an absolute ton of cars in this little group right here all together. Yeah,
I guess you know, we see a nice little pack of cars there. Of course, as soon as you tell me to go back to it, they kind of single file up. And then another group of about 5 cars behind this group here. So, yeah, there's some good racing further back in this field for sure.
Yeah, there definitely is. As we're trying to get some camera angles here that give you a good feel for this. And you're right back here in this group where we're watching. You got a couple of new guys in here, or some kind of new drivers. You're back here with the 9 of Brian Dorsey, Raven Yeager, Sam Crow, Mike Taylor, Justin Starr. So a mix of new, semi-new, and brand new.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about Michigan is it's just so wide, especially on those back stretches, and you can kind of come off the corner in a couple different lines. Michigan really lends itself to this kind of racing, side by side, 2-3 lines. As a driver, you oftentimes get frustrated when you're out there trying to run around, and there's really only one line that you can be fast in. And Michigan's certainly not like that. Although, if you get just a little bit aggressive with that line or run it just a little bit off, Michigan will also make you pay. So I know a lot of drivers don't like Michigan, but I think it's a great track.
Yeah, it definitely, I agree, it's a nice track. You know, better than some I prefer to go to here. Just to update a few things here, is apparently the trees are in the way here for that view.
56 in the wall.
Let's go back to the 56. That's not the first time he's been into the wall, as that's probably the second or third time he's scraped it. And we'll see if he does it again as we're watching him. Just to update, Reese Milton out of the race now. Again, we're updating on some of these guys. Francois Peltier, he is back on the racetrack right now. Still is a few laps down after that incident, but he is back out on the racetrack. And I want to also update on our lead gap there. Was almost a second. It's down to just a little over, now it's 7.3, but it was down to 5. So Mikey was actually running down Jameer, but as yet lately that gap has gotten a little bit bigger again.
Well, not surprised that Mikey was maybe saving tires a little bit. Thought he might be, but may have given up too big of a gap here. I'm looking at their last lap times, and you know, they kind of match what you saw, where it looks like Jameer extended that lead just a little bit. You know, one of the things that we didn't talk about either was that caution on lap 9 put everybody into the fuel window. You know, we talked about being just a couple laps short of maybe being able to know that you could make it. So, you know, these alternate pit strategies are going to be a little bit tougher now, as we're kind of solidly in that fuel window now, and we're all going to make the same number of stops, assuming another caution doesn't throw that off. So maybe a little more pressure to drive your way through there, as you're not maybe going to get some of the short pit options that you would have had otherwise. Yeah. So, you know, Mikey's going to have to figure out how to drive up to Jameer Muhammad if he wants to beat him.
Yeah, he definitely will. Is that we are currently on lap 26, so we're just about at the you know, a third way of done this race, and I'm curious here as these guys will come in. I don't think anyone will do it, but it is an option to come down on around lap 30, and well, I'd say around 32 or 33. And make this a, I'd say 32 would be a little bit short, and possibly make this into 2 stops. Well, forget that math. My math is bad. That would be 30 laps. They wouldn't make that anyway. So forget my math. It is not working here tonight.
I think we're going to see these guys come down here probably right around lap 30 or so. You know, I think we pit there on about lap 10. That left us 80 laps. So, we're going to break this probably up into 20-lap segments. So somewhere around 30, 32, maybe even as early as 29, 28. So we're on lap 27 now. I'm expecting green flag pit stops. Just went lap 28 now. So I expect to start cycling through green flag pit stops. Maybe somebody short pits on this lap, but most likely here in about 2 laps.
That, and we'll let you answer this question from Mike Neal in chat. Question: why save tires if they're most likely will have to pit again? So we'll let you answer that one, as you are the race expert here for tonight.
Well, if we get a caution and it sucks the field up, I suppose it doesn't matter that much. But, when you're out there driving, you got to just assume that, this thing's going to go green from here on out. So, you're going to be out there on those old tires, and if you burn those tires up, you can lose more time at the end of a run than you can make up at the beginning of a run. At the beginning of a run, everybody's fast, everybody has tires, and you're all probably within a tenth, maybe 2/10 of a second tops. At the end of a run, when you've got all these tires worn out, there's easily a half second to a second per lap. As a matter of fact, just looking at last lap's run, we've got Jamir Muhammad at a 40.578 this time, and we've got several cars that ran greater than a 41.7. So Jamir Muhammad right now at the end of this run is more than a second faster than a lot of the cars out there because he's managed his tires, and that's a huge difference. Even if you're making green flag pit stops, you can't. Very, very hard to make that up.
And speaking of pit stops here, Brian Dorsey in the 9 on the lead lap. He's a lead lap driver. He is coming down pit road here on lap 30, right as you predicted. He is coming down, and he's the first one back in 20th. So we're going to watch him, the 9, and see just how he cycles out when this is all said and done. But he is in there, and it looks like here comes Jamir Muhammad, Mikey Neal, Alex Huffman coming down. We have a few more drivers coming down pit road to start pit stops here.
Yeah, our leaders are in. That's definitely going to start opening the floodgates here. Leaders want to make sure nobody can short pit them again. There's no benefit to staying out longer on this one. To run it out of gas, because we know that, lap 30, lap 50, probably lap 70, those will be our pit windows there. We know we can go 20 laps. Running 22 is not going to be advantageous to us. It's not going to save us a pit stop.
Yeah, definitely not. And I thought maybe that Mikey Neal beat Jamir Muhammad off pit road, but he doesn't. So Jamir Muhammad will be back to the possibly lead, once it all sorts out, as now we have Raymond Yeager coming down pit road, Mike Rigney coming down pit road. We'll make sure nobody has too big issues on pit road. Our leaders actually had flawless pit stops, very good for all of them, as we was hoping for, and that did happen. So now we're just waiting on about the top 9 to come down, and there's still a chance we could get a caution before that happens.
Yeah, and that's, what these guys are hoping for here. They'd probably like to see it go a few more laps, but even at 2 or 3 laps on these tires this early in the race, you might see some of those leaders come in and these guys get some track position. It's Charles Hoffman and Sam Crow from that lead group pit, but we got several cars, Jason Covington, Jim Locking, David Gainforth, staying out there for lap 23. And, we said lap 23 was max, but remember a couple of those were run under caution, so maybe lap 24, is not going to be pushing it too much. But interesting to see that we've still got 5 guys out there.
Yeah, and also you got to think, too, I don't think it's going to be too much of a factor, but if you are just, to begin with, a little bit slower in your times, maybe you're not hitting those times that everybody else is, even though it's a fixed setup, you may be able to squeeze a little bit more out of it, but it looks like not much more, because they are coming down pit road. And so far, Tony Rice, 24 laps, he has not come down pit road. This will be very interesting to see if he doesn't run out of fuel.
Yeah, I'm looking at Tony Rice's lap times, and I'm not sure that he hasn't been saving here just a little bit to try to squeeze this extra lap out of it. But Tony Rice, probably nothing to lose at this point. Doesn't feel like he's going to get up there and drive past those leaders. So why not stretch the fuel out and get as far off of pit cycles as you can from these guys? Maybe, this pit stop, maybe the next pit stop. We've got several cars a lap down right now. And I'd be surprised if he stays up for one more, but we'll see.
He does not. He is coming down pit road. And so far, this is our longest green flag run, as we have gone, of course, 24 laps now, fixing to make it 25. As there, once again, Jamir Muhammad retakes the lead. So our longest green flag run so far we'll see, as they're already on lap 4 for some of these guys. Some of them, you go all the way back to Matthew Ellis back in 8th place right now. He's already on lap 7 of this stint, so he came in very quick, right at the lap 30. So some of these guys will be coming in a lot sooner, but we're already 4 laps in, so pit stops, while they are still about 20 so laps away, that won't take long.
Yeah, we've got a 2-lap window where we can probably short pit somebody. If it was up to me, I think, everybody's so spread out here right now, I might save it for that last pit stop and try to pick up the 3 or 4 seconds there on that one with my short pit. But, it's good for a few spots. Matthew Ellis came in at lap 28, I think. Was able, or not Matthew Ellis, who am I? Was it, no, I forgot, was it Brian Bazell? Somebody came in there 2 laps earlier than the leaders, which would have put it about lap 28. They probably picked up a few spots and, opened for a caution to come out, reset everybody, make everybody get some new tires, and then work with that new track position.
I know unless I missed Matthew Ellis, the first one I saw come down was the 9 of Brian Dorsey. So, but he only had 6 on his stint, whereas you're right, Matthew Ellis does have 9 on his now. So, he must have come down a little bit earlier than everyone else, about lap 28 when you said, and I just didn't see him come in because he was the only one doing so. And, considering he came in several laps early, he's still in the top 10, so he's not out of this by any means.
Well, we got 2 seconds easy of fall off, right? So by short pitting 2 laps earlier, you're going to gain probably 4 seconds on the field. The fall off isn't as great at the end of the run, but you can really only do that once in this race, the way the fuel windows have worked out, and still have, I got to think about that. Maybe you can do it a little bit more than that, but and still have that fuel window to short pit at the end. So you're going to lose a lot of time running a fuel run out, but you'll pick up a lot of time short pitting. So it's kind of one of those games and one of the pit strategy ones. It's not as big as 3 stops versus 4 stops, but 4 seconds of track time by pitting 2 laps early is a big deal.
It definitely is.
And if we get a caution, that might be good for 5, 6, 7, 8 places.
Yeah, because I was doing the math here, looking at their laps. Some of your leaders, like Jamir Muhammad, their fastest lap, 38.886. When he came down pit road, he was running 41.6s was his last lap. So that's actually almost 3 seconds off. Actually, it is roughly 3 seconds. So these guys are really losing time there for your leaders. And I would venture to guess, if they're running that as hard as they are to run those lap times, as we have 2 drivers here that are running 38s, Alex Huffman and Jamir Muhammad. Everybody else is in the 39, so they're running that car as hard as they can.
Yeah, they, and Michigan is, it's not real rewarding to guys that overdrive it, but there are ways on this track, because we've got the progressive banking, that maybe you can make a car that would otherwise be bad handle better later in the run. And to see Jamir Muhammad running as good as he was late in that run and running as hard as he was early, I would say he's definitely a driver that's figured that out.
He definitely, I think he has too. We'll go back up to him. And right now, Mikey Neal is still trying to run him down. He does have only a gap of .483 now. On that last run before pit stops, he was almost at a second, so he has closed that gap a little bit. But Mikey Neal right now just kind of trying to search around and find the line. It looks like he's going to try to run the exact same line as Jamir Muhammad, and so far he is possibly reeling him in. Really, he's not losing, but he's not really gaining either.
Yeah, and it's interesting watching Jamir's line here, and a couple of these other drivers. I assumed that these cars were going to get real loose as this run started going on, and watching the way that these guys are kind of running this track here a little bit, It looks to me like these cars are actually getting tight here later in the run. As I'm watching these guys kind of dip down into that lower lane in the corners, and that lower lane actually has less grip. So because it's a flatter, it doesn't have as much banking, and it's actually a little easier to turn, but it's a little harder to hold it straight down there. And I figured these guys would kind of start moving up the track as the run went on, trying to get straighter runs off the corner and catch these cars a little bit. But that's not what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing guys trying to catch the tail end of this car coming up the corners. Not really seeing their lines move up the track. If anything, it's almost like they're still dipping down into that lower line occasionally to get things to turn a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That looks to be what they're doing. And here lately, as we are just about at the halfway point, I think everybody's really kind of spread out here for the most part. There are some little battles going on here. You got Jim Locking here in a battle with the 9 of Brian Dorsey and the 101 of David Gainforth. As they come up to the start-finish line, they will be getting 2 laps now at the completion of lap 45. We'll be at the halfway point here. And we do expect pit stops to come in here, and about anywhere from 8 to 10 laps. I think they'll come back down again.
I think, again, we're looking at probably about lap 50. We're going to see them pit about every 20 here. We'll probably see somebody pit, around lap 47 or 48 to try to gain that track position. I'm expecting a bunch of takers on the short pitting on the next pit stop. Not necessarily this one, but, because of that, maybe this is the one to do it on, right? You want to be contrary to everybody else. Yeah, I think we got about 5 laps left on this run. These cars are hanging in there remarkably well. And pretty solid run from Jameer and Mikey right now. They've really put a lot of distance between them and the rest of the field. Then you go back there and you got Alex Huffman, who's got a nice little gap back to Mike Wrigley. Alex Huffman kind of been just running in his own little pocket there. But this field definitely is pretty spread out. I think you got to go back to about Jason Cummington to find a close battle. He and Charles Hoffman running side by side right down the track.
They definitely are running side by side, and we'll see how it's going to be tricky how it all works out. Who will short pit this time? Who will short pit next time? We've already seen a few people. I think Matthew Ellis did it. Brian Dorsey short pit on the last one. So somebody is definitely going to do it this time. The question is who and how many, if any, will at all. I think we're going to maybe get 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's tough. You go out there and you second guess yourself when you're driving all the time. I would want to short pit the next pit cycle if I could, but also knowing that if I'm chasing the leaders, they're probably going to short pit just to prevent that. Then maybe this is the one to do it on. It's a tough call there. But yeah, I think now that I've thought about it enough, if I'm chasing those guys, maybe I'm going to short pit this one here in about lap 48. But we're on lap 48, and so far I'm not seeing a bunch of takers.
Yeah, I am not either. So far, I don't see any at all, so we'll see if anybody's going to. Again, they would have to do it here on this lap, maybe the next one, but so far, nobody. I was kind of surprised that maybe the 9 didn't do it. He's already done it once, but he's not doing it this time. So 17, 18 laps on there. Matthew Ellis going to be one of the first ones that has to come down in that number 6 machine, is he's got 20 laps on this stint. So we know he's going to be one of the first ones to need fuel compared to everyone else. Some of these guys only have 13. Tony Rice, the first car lap down, 13 laps. But your front 3, 18 laps, 17 for Mike Grigney. And then you get back to Jason Covington with 15.
Speaking of Jason Covington, man, him and Charles Hoffman are still going at it. These guys have been running side by side for several laps now. And in a field that's all spread out, somehow these 2 guys managed to get right next to each other. And it just kind of backs up what we were saying about there being multiple grooves. I've seen them switch places. Covington high, and Hoffman low, and now you got the opposite. Now they're 3 wide as they take the damaged car, the 33 of Josh Coley, 3 wide. So these guys still going at it.
They are indeed. Josh Coley having that damage earlier involved in an incident with the 31, of course, where Scotty Zerk got into the back quarter panel of the 5 and pushed him into the 33. So that is why he's got that damage and a lap down. But the 63 definitely squeezed it through the middle, but it looks like here Jason Covington actually going to pull away pretty quickly there. I was kind of shocked as close as they were battling. All of a sudden, the 10 shot out of a cannon, but meanwhile, your leaders are coming down pit road.
Yeah, right on schedule here. These guys are coming down. We didn't get a lot of takers for short pitting them, so I think we got a couple guys that may have beat them by a lap, if that.
Yeah, so we'll see here. We got Matthew Ellis, Brandon Young, Brian Dorsey, Justin Starr on pit road, Sterling Smith on pit road, Mike Taylor, Scotty Zerk. Really the whole entire field coming down, and once again, Jameer Muhammad barely beating Mikey Neal off pit road.
Yeah, it might be easier to say who's not on pit road right now, and that would be the 10 of Jason Covington, 60 of 63 of Charles Hoffman, the 101 of David Gainforth, 91 of Jim Locking. And just as I say that, of course, they all start coming down pit road, those that stayed out. But I believe we've still got about 6 or 7 cars that haven't pit. Our top 5, Jason Covington, David Gainforth, Jim Locking, Raymond Yeager, Brian Bazell, all have not pit. And then the 78 of John Van Verla is still out there, too. Everybody else is either on pit road or been there now.
Yeah, and I would expect these guys to come down here in just a lap or two. They could technically go out. Brian Bizzle, excuse me, is going to be the first one. He's on lap 23 right now. I would not be surprised if he came down this time. And, of course, there he is getting down to the bottom. Oh, he will get it woed up here and get down to pit road. And we'll see. The next one would have to be Raymond Yeager. As he's on 21 on this stint, everyone else 19, so they will be coming in here in the next 2 to 3 laps.
Yeah, and I don't know what there is to gain by staying out there, I think, this long, unless, again, you're hoping for a caution and maybe a little track position. And, at a track like Michigan, not the easiest pits in the world to get into because you do have to get down there onto that lower banking and then transition onto the apron. So not a horrible strategy, but certainly you got guys right now running 41-second laps out there that are still turning these old laps on those tires versus all these guys that have come in and pit running high 38s and low 39s right now. So 2.5 second difference every lap that these guys stay out there on those old tires.
Yeah, and you notice we're talking about you have 3 drivers that have not come down pit road with 20 laps on this stint. Jason Covington, David Gainford, Jim Locking. But look all the way back down to 14th position, who we didn't notice, and I just saw it there. That is John Van Verellis. He has not pitted his 3rd time. 20 laps on there, as now Jason Covington is coming down pit road.
Yeah, we did mention John Van Verellis, but he's already a lap down, and he's kind of mired in traffic. So, we weren't following him, but David Gainforth and Jim Locking still out there, actually leading right now. But even if the caution were to come out, they would not have the leaders trapped a lap down. At best, they would force some guys to take a wave around maybe, and they would cycle in around 11th or 12th place after they got their tires. But I think they were running that high up anyway. So I would think that coming in and getting tires for these guys and not losing any more time would be probably strategically to their advantage right now.
Yeah, I definitely do. As we're going to pull up our caution chart here. 1 caution for 3 laps. That is it. We've had 1 caution, 2 rounds of green flag pit stops, 35 laps to go, 8 different lead changes. But what we really want to look at is that 35 to go, because why that is important is, for pit strategy, because of the fact that we have only had that 1 caution. As there come the front 2 down to pit road, they will have to pit again. I'm curious, and you being the race expert here, we'll get your thoughts on this. If you have 35 laps to go, when do you come in for your third one? You said this could be the short pit. Do you come in and split this run in half and have a little bit older tires, or do you cut it just maybe 2 or 3 laps short of making it to the end?
I think on this one, let's talk about Mikey Neal first, right? He has not been able to run down Jamir Muhammad. He can get up to about 3/10, falls back as far as about a second, but hasn't been able to run him down. So if you're Mikey Neal, you've got to short pit Jamir Muhammad if you want to win. So you've got to come in as soon as you're within that field window. So 22 to go, 23 to go, lap 67, 68. I think if you're Mikey Neal, unless you've just been holding back and you know you've got more speed, you've got to short pit Jamir. If you're Jamir, you know what Mikey's got to do. You know he's got to short pit you so you don't let him. If you're everybody else back there, Alex Huffman, Mike Rigney, Sal Casey, Charles Hoffman, it's the same thing. You want to get that short pit in and gain as many places as you can. So I'm going to expect anybody up probably in the top 10 maybe to probably pit here lap 68, maybe even lap 67, the short pit. And then we'll see an alternate strategy. We'll get some other guys staying out, hoping there's a wreck probably. But I think Jamir has to, for defensive purposes, just to hang on to his spot. And, most of that top 10 is going to have to do the same thing. They don't want to lose those spots. They're going to have to just to defend. And whereas if you're Mikey, that might be your only shot. If you can short pit Jamir by even 1 lap, that might give you 2 seconds on this final run. And Jamir may have him by a half a second on the run, but he certainly doesn't have him by 2 seconds. So long answer to a short question. I'm expecting a lot of short pitting.
Yeah, definitely. I expect to see it. And what we want to know here, too, is their fastest lap, 38.8. Right now, 10 laps in when he comes to the line, 39.8 for Jamir Muhammad. So only 10 laps in, and he's already has a second fall off. So even if Mikey Neal, or even if he needs to short pit, if he wants to try to take this lead, even if he does, I don't think it, I think those tires are going to fall off enough that if he can get enough of a lead and have a few enough laps, I don't think Jamir Muhammad is going to be able to get by him. I don't think he'll have the time to do it just because the tire fall off as far as speed is so great, because it's almost at 40 seconds with just 10 laps.
Yeah, the thing is I think Jamir knows exactly what we're talking about, too. It's no secret to him either, so I would expect both of those guys to short pit. And if they don't, if Jamir opts not to short pit and lets Mikey short pit him, then I think that's a mistake. Although, as we talk about this, look at Mikey's reeled in Jamir. He's just about on his bumper. So, we said unless Mikey's been saving something, and it looks like Mikey's been saving something.
I'm beginning to wonder if he has myself. And while we're watching this battle here, one thing we need to point out here when we're talking about short pitting is Mikey Neal has to be kind of careful about how he does this. He doesn't need to make a mistake on pit road. However, as close as he is to Jamir right now, that's going to make it, at least from my perspective, that's going to make it more difficult for him to short pit, because Jamir can see him, and if Jamir sees him starting to go down to the bottom and slow down a little bit, he's going to know he's coming down pit road if he sees him in the rearview mirror. So Mikey Neal, his best bet is going to have to be to try and get to pit road at the last minute and not let Jamir see him do it.
Well, if you're Mikey Neal, what you'd really like to do is right there when you hit that short window, be side by side with Jamir Muhammad. Put him on the outside so you can make that last second peel in, and there's nothing Jamir can do. He can't react to that. Because if you're behind Jamir, then he can still pull down. He still knows that you probably want to short pit him. And so, if Mikey is able, and it looks like Mikey's lost a little bit of ground here again, so we'll see. But if Mikey's able to run him down, I would think that Mikey would like to be inside of him on that lap that he plans to short pit, if that's indeed his strategy.
Definitely, I think it could be here. And they did just go around a lap car, so that could have been a factor in it, as well as why he lost a little bit. Can't remember. I believe that was Brandon Dorsett that just went by, if I'm not mistaken. But a lap car did just play a factor in there, as it wasn't Brandon Dorsett. I'm not sure who that is back there. I'm not sure who that is. But regardless, a lap car was back there involved in it, so that could have been why he lost a little bit of time.
Yeah, and, I think right now, unless we get a yellow flag, the race is between Jameer and Mikey. Alex Huffman's carved out a nice little pocket for himself here, running in third place, but he's almost 7 seconds behind these guys. And then 2 seconds, above fourth place. So, as far as for the race win, this is our battle. And then as far as battles on the track, I think we really almost got to go back down to about 11th and 12th place before we start seeing some cars, battling each other. These guys have really gotten so spread out that it makes seeing a caution kind of unlikely.
It really does. I don't think we'll see one. If we see one, I think it may be coming down pit road, people trying to get on there, possibly even on the track of them trying just to get to pit road, not necessarily on it. But we are within the window. I believe you said lap 67, 68 was when drivers come down, would possibly come down. If I believe that is correct, we are currently on lap 66.
Yeah, I think 67 is rolling the dice a little bit from what we understand. If I feel good about 22 and what we've seen in this race so far, I think 68 is probably my target lap. And if I'm Mikey Neal and I got anything in the tank, right now I want to start driving up and getting to the inside of Jameer Muhammad.
We'll see if he can do it as we're watching them two right now. They're on the backstretch, so he needs to get up there very quickly and get to his inside. And like you said, kind of trap him out there where he really doesn't have a whole lot of time, and he just won't be able to get there. I don't think he's going to make it, though. The question is Mikey going to sneak down the pit road? And I don't think he is. They're coming up to the line.
Yeah, I think we got to do one more lap. I think this is the one. And, again, it's easy to sit here and not know what these tires are doing and say we got a short pit, but I'm sure these guys know what they're doing out there. But I'm really expecting, if I was driving the number 8 and knowing what I know, which is not much right now, I would certainly be looking at trying to figure out how to short pit Jameer here right now. And if at all possible, hang him out there.
Yeah, and I want to note here on that last lap that they went by the line, 40.4 for Jameer Muhammad, 40.3 for Mikey Neal. So Mikey Neal was there, and we did exactly. Mikey came down pit road, and Jameer saw him and came down with him.
Yeah, Mikey actually put her on the apron first, and Jameer immediately pulled it down there. But Mikey was able to close that gap and get right on his bumper here. So if they can both hit their pit stall good, I think we're going to see these two guys come out bumper to bumper and have a heck of a shootout here for this last race.
It is indeed.
Mikey picked up a little bit of time getting in the pit road on him.
We'll see if that's what he needed, and he's going to take 4 tires. He is indeed 4 tires of fuel. I think he needed to do that. Jameer pulling off pit road. So is Mikey. Mikey technically beat him off pit road, but then wiggles it, getting up to speed, and that's going to let Jameer get back by him, though.
Yeah, Mikey spun those tires getting off pit road, but Jameer got into the back of a slower car there, the number 99, which slowed him up. So he had to get out of it. They can't pass there on that apron. They got to stay down below that commitment cone. And that actually worked out to Mikey's advantage as he was able to drive it back, and it's now side by side. But looks like Jameer might be trying to use the 99 there as a pick. Hard to say.
Yeah, we're about to find out. Here comes the 8 of Mike Neal to the inside. I think he may get him, and I hear coming to the line. Will he have him? Oh, it's dead even, but I think Mikey Neal might have had that one.
Yeah, I thought Mikey Neal might have had him, and Mikey Neal now has the opportunity to use that 99 as a pick here. If he can get to the inside and force the number 2 car to be behind him, and then, of course, if you can really figure out where you're a lot faster than that 99, assuming you are somewhere, you can really use that to benefit. As there we go, the number 2 gets trapped behind the 99, takes it 3 wide. 99 decides to take it all the way up to the wall, but the 8 gets by cleanly, using that 99 as a pick, and a great job by Justice Star just getting out of there and not being a part of that race.
Yeah, and here's where Mikey has to drive for everything he's got. He needs to protect that bottom. As we've seen, I don't really think he's going to be able to get by him on the high side. I think he's going to have to do it on the inside, so Mikey really just needs to protect the bottom. And with a lot more lap cars coming in, I saw the 9 coming into play here. I think that is the 9 anyway. As someone on pit road, I thought we had a wreck down there, but we don't. So going back here to see, that is actually, it is the 9, but that is a lead lap car. So lead lap or lap down, Mikey Neal's going to have to be very careful trying to get around these to not let, well, it doesn't matter. There he goes. He got by him anyway.
Yeah, the 2 car was able to get the inside position. That's the thing when you've got this track, because of that lesser banking, you can't run the inside line around the corner, and if you stay on your line, you want to push all the way out. Jameer able to take a little bit different angle around that corner, establish the inside position before they got into turn 3 and take that lead away. But Mikey not done here, going to run him on the outside here a little bit. And, if Mikey can keep Jameer from getting back to that throttle and pushing out to the wall coming off that corner for a couple laps, he could either force Jameer to burn those front tires up trying to keep it down, or make Jameer get out of that throttle and let him by. So the pass can definitely be made on this outside too.
Yeah, it definitely can. I didn't think it was going to work, but he's making it work. Mikey Neal did lead that last lap here with 18 to go. I hope it stays just like this. I know there's a lot of fans out there for both of these guys that would love to see one ahead of the other. As there goes Mikey Neal back to the front. I personally hope this stays just like it is, side by side, passing back and forth. This is probably in the history of this league, to my knowledge anyways. It could be better than this, but I don't think we've seen this good of a lead. We possibly have, but it's been a little while.
Well, we've seen good leads, but this is a heck of a battle between 2 fantastic drivers, Jameer Muhammad and Mikey Neal. First of all, I'm going to call them rivals only in the context of, these are the guys that win most of the races and battle for the lead week after week, but also 2 of the nicest guys that you could ever run across. So 2 great guys, 2 nice guys. Neither one of these is going to race the other guy dirty. Or probably even overly aggressive. But we've already seen about 4 lead changes here, at least 3 lead changes since these guys got fuel, 5-6 laps ago.
Yeah, definitely. You can't ask for any better than this. So we'll see. Right now, this is where, like I said, I thought earlier, he had to get in front of him to stay in front of him. We have 16 laps to go. Going to be 15 at the line. We are already starting to see that fall-off play into it. And I really think Jameer's fast, and he's going to try to find a way around. But Mikey is in the best spot right now, in my opinion, because of the fact that he's out front when these tires are starting to wear off. I would rather be in front when they wear off than I would behind, because that is going to mean that you both have the fall off, but you're having to try to work with something that just doesn't want to work with you to get ahead.
Well, you'll never get an argument out of me when you tell me that the leader's in the best spot. I tend to agree with you. I think, and it's been asked in this chat in these races before, I tend to focus a little bit more when I'm where Jameer Muhammad's at, and maybe even drive a little bit better when I'm chasing somebody down. But that's only because I know I'm in a worse position. I got to work harder for it. Mikey Neal definitely in the better position here, but he's just not putting any distance in between him and Jameer right now. Jameer able to stay on his bumper, sizing him up. So if you're Mikey, you'd like to see that gap start growing there a little bit. But right now, Jameer, and of course, as I say that, he puts a 10th in between them, but Jameer just able to stay right on that bumper, closes it right back up, and looks like he's just kind of sizing Mikey up to try to make another move here.
Yeah, and I just now dawned on me, too. I want to point this out. Well, one of these drivers isn't even old enough to drink here. We do have the battle going on between Budweiser and Miller Lite out on the track.
I don't even know what to say to that one. You know, Mikey Neal being the big Dale Jr. fan out there, driving his tribute to Dale Jr. But that is pretty funny when you think about it.
Yeah, it is definitely. We'll deem this little clip here at the 13 to go. It is the Battle of the Beers out in first place and second place. We'll see which one comes out dominant.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to peel away from those leaders, but we got a lot of little, you know, when we get back there mid-pack, you know, we got a lot of little battles going on there. 8th place battle going on. We've got a 11th place battle going on. So we've got a bunch of little two-car battles, but again, these guys are so spread out that the odds of there being a caution are pretty slim here right now. You know, we got these little two-car battles going on for one position, but for the most part, all the action happening right up front there with our two leaders.
It is indeed. And we're going back here. We'll check some of these out. Got some little battles going on. But yeah, you're right. Up there at the front, that is where the main thing is. And, you know, it gets more and more interesting here with 11 laps to go. Because while it's just them two battling, every lap they have at least one lap car that's coming into play here. So, you know, that's not necessarily bad news for Mikey, but it's good news, I think, for Jameer, as every lap car is a chance for him to try to make a pick and try to use that lap car to his advantage. So Mikey has to be really careful about when he wants to try to get by these lap cars.
Yeah, and I think most of these lap cars at this point in the race know that their race is pretty much over as far as battling the leaders, and they'll get out of the way. They're just racing a couple guys right around them for position here, you know, with 10 laps to go. But if they come up on a battle, what it looks like they're coming up on now, where you got two cars side by side, then of course that could be a game changer, because race cars are a competitive lot. I don't care lap down or not. Nobody wants to bail out of a side by side battle. Yeah,
they definitely don't. You know, yeah, I hope it doesn't come down to what it did today, but in the real NASCAR race, if anybody hasn't watched that, you might want to go watch the clip of that. But today's actual NASCAR race, the way that finished, it was two cars side by side beating and banging to the end. Hopefully we don't have the beating and banging, but a close finish wouldn't be bad, we very well could have it. Is it's shaping up to be just like that race was, two cars battling for the lead.
Yeah, we got two drivers out there that really aren't the beating and the banging type, but they both seem to have equal speed. And so seeing these guys side by side coming across the finish line, not going to surprise me a lot here. If we do see that, I won't be very surprised.
And it looks like Jameer Muhammad's going to try to make a pass on the outside, but he wanted to do it, but I don't think he's not going to take it 3 wide there with the 70. That's just not his style. He didn't want to risk it. And that's the big thing here, too, is he has a lot to risk if he wants to try to make a move like that. And he didn't think it was worth it to try to thread the needle and go through the middle like that.
Yeah, there's a question from Titans Row asking about the stripes on the back of the bumper. He notices the green stripes on the back of the 8 car and the 23 car. What he doesn't notice is that the blue car, the 270 and the 70 both have blue stripes. They don't show up. What those are license levels based on your safety rating. The B is a green license for public server open races, which means that you can race anything up to like an Xfinity car on the oval. Can't race the Cup cars. Well, even that you can if you do it's called NIS. A long story there. So it's what your safety rating allows you to race, whereas the blue lights or the blue stripes on the bumpers mean you can pretty much race any car out there.
Yeah, and what you won't see in year 2 is this league is, I'm not sure on this. Yeah, I believe this particular one is B class and above. So what you won't see is any D class drivers. Those are orange. You have rookies that are red and C-class that are yellow. You won't see any of those here in this race because they're not allowed. You can actually limit your league to certain class drivers, and they don't allow them in this particular series. They are allowed in this league period, but just not in this race. And part of that is because they like to see good, clean racing like we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and this car is, in the public races, you require a D-class. This is a D-class car. That's the lowest license level that can run this car. So, just a little tidbit of knowledge there, but not a measure of skill or anything. And because Mikey Neal and with his green stripe and Jameer Muhammad with his blue stripe are probably two of the better drivers that we've seen in this league. And so the green stripe certainly not a skill indication.
Definitely not. And we are at that point now with 5 laps to go that we are in what we like to refer to here with no green-white checkers on iRacing. It is the point of no return. There it is now 4 laps to go. If a caution was to come out now, it would end the race because we do not have green-white checkers here in iRacing. So right now, Mikey is in just hold off mode. All he's got to do is hold him off for 4 laps or until a caution can come out. I'm with you. I don't think we're going to see that caution, so he's just 4 laps away, and he's actually got a sizable lead now.
Yeah, he's actually put a pretty decent gap in there between him and Jameer, and with just 3-4 to go here, going to be real tough for Jameer to reel him in. So Mikey Neal not able to catch Jameer in the first 3 runs, able to actually hold him off here on this last run and possibly even put a gap between them. So, but as you pointed out, we've got some lap cars coming up. And of course, just as we start talking about that, Jameer Muhammad shaves a little bit of time off, but I think he actually overdrove that corner and it killed him coming down the straightaways. He lost quite a bit of time coming down the straightaway. So Jameer trying to overdrive it just a little bit there to reel Mikey in, which is a sign that he doesn't have anything left in the tank in reserve. He's driving his car for all it's got right now.
Yeah, and yes, to answer the question, Titans rule, green-white checkers, while they've been out for a while in the real world, they just have not programmed them in to iRacing. I am hopeful, though, that we will get them soon, especially with them working on dirt racing and the caution laps not counting. That is one step in the right direction to running green-white checkered. So at least I think that probably could be part of that. Maybe we'll see it here shortly. It would be an added little bonus here to see that, though.
Yeah, we're coming around to the white flag here in a second, and Mikey Neal's got 0.3 of a second lead. So unless he messes up, I don't think Jameer can catch him.
I'm with you. I don't think he can, and there it is. 1 lap to go, presented by Northwest Racing Series. They're coming to the backstretch here as we'll zoom out just a little bit here for Mikey Neal. He's on the backstretch, so right about there. He is 1/2 of a lap away from putting it in victory lane here tonight, and you can actually put it in victory lane at this track too.
You absolutely can. You can drive it right down there onto the apron and park it in victory lane. One of the few tracks we can actually do that at. But doesn't this league, I believe, they pose for pictures at the start-finish line, right?
They do indeed, as Mikey already swerving it back to back. Mikey Neal will be your race winner here tonight. A hard-fought battle. Had a little bit of a gap there, about 0.544, so a half second over Jameer Muhammad, but still for about 15 to 20 laps. What a battle between the front two.
Oh, fantastic battle tonight. I mean, that whole last field run, I don't think we hardly left them just because they were too close. It was probably the closest battle on the track those last 20 laps, and or sustained battle anyways, and it was for the lead. So you couldn't ask for much more than that. You
definitely couldn't. And we'll be talking to those top 3 here in just a minute, as I'm sure Mikey and Neal is going to go do his backward celebration after they do their little picture here at the start-finish line for the social media. So we'll go ahead and get to your unofficial race results. We got 28 drivers here. Of course, 25 of them started. So, Jeff, you want to run through our top 15 in points or in the results, and I will bring it home.
Absolutely. Your winner tonight, the number 8 car, the 16-year-old of Mikey Justified Neal. In second place, the number 2 car of Jameer Mohammed. In third, the 83 of Alex Huffman. Bringing it home in fourth, we've got the 30 of Mike Rigney. Your fifth place car tonight was the 63 of Charles Hoffman. In sixth place, we've got the 10 of Jason Covington. In seventh place, we've got the 6 of Matthew Ellis. Bringing it home in eighth, the 28 car, Brian Bazell. In ninth, we've got the 101 of David Gainforth. In 10th, we've got the 91 of Jim Locking. In 11th, we've got the 70 of Sam Crow. Your 12th place car was the 23 of Raymond Yeager. In 13th place, we've got the 9 of Brian Dorsey. In 14th place, the 99 of Justin Starr. And rounding out your top 15, the 50 of Sterling Smith.
In the 16th is going to be the 56 of Mike Taylor. 17th will be the 5 of Brandon Dorsett. 18th will be the 64 of Tony Rice. 19th will be the 33 of Josh Coley. And 20th will go to the 51 of Brandon Young. 22nd will go to 21st will go to the 78 of John Van Varellis. 22nd, the 31 of Scotty Zirk. 23rd will go to the 19. If we'll make sure you get this right, Francois Peltier. Going in again to 23rd. 24th will go to the 40 of Sal Casey. 25th will go to the 76 of Reese Milton. And that will actually do it here for your unofficial race results as Scott Masick, Bill Edwards and Tyler Renaud did not start, did not start the race here tonight. We'll be right back here in just a few moments, of course, with your top 3 interviews in the post-race show. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, once again here with your post-race show, and we have your top 3 drivers here in the booth with us to chat it with them here just a little bit. Coming in third place here is the 83 of Alex Huffman, a teammate of your race winner. You led 2 laps here today, started 4th, finished 3rd, so you did go forward here in the race. But we heard earlier coming into this race the car was going to be a little loose, and then we saw some big wrecks in practice. But overall here, we did not see many cautions. I believe only one for that matter. So how was this car handling, and how did it handle compared to what you thought it was going to be coming into the race?
The car was a lot tighter than I thought it would be, that's for sure. I was expecting a slick track, but with the dynamic weather the way it was tonight, it was really grippy. It's just these cars wanted to plow the corners worse than a dump truck, it seemed like at some points of time in the race. And I lost quite a bit of time to Jameer and Mikey because I got a little bit too close to the wall and had to let up a lot, so I lost a lot of time there. And they were the class of the field, that's for sure. They had a handle on this track, I guess, a lot better than I thought I did.
Well, definitely, It was some good racing here. I had a little bit of a gap there for the front two to you. Coming into tonight's race, as far as getting the win, what did you think your chances were? And had we had a caution, do you think you could have given those guys a run for their money?
I think I would have had a lot better shot at winning if I did have a caution, because I noticed every time I would pit, I'd gain almost a second on them after. I had decent short run speed, and at the beginning of the race, I realized I had good short run speed, but they were able to conserve a lot more tires than I was on the long run and just pulled right back away. And they were class of the field for sure. Jameer and Mikey were.
Definitely. Would have been interesting to see if we had that one more caution to stack the field, but it didn't happen here tonight. So always good when we don't see a lot of cautions, but obviously sometimes you just need that one. That being said, we know you got some sponsors, and shout-outs to who would those be for that third-place finish.
I got to thank Iracing Drivers World for sponsoring this series, Global Building Contractors for sponsoring our Tuesday night Xfinity series, Dan Butler Designs, you guys at VRN, Racecore, Justin and Dan, the admins, and my family and friends who support me when I do this.
Well, definitely, we're glad to have you here with us, and we're just an outstanding run. So again, congrats on third place. One spot ahead, that is the two of Jameer Muhammad. You led the most laps here tonight. You led 51 laps. You started second. You finished second. So overall, we can only say you had an outstanding run, a really fast car. But what we really want to talk about here is those last, from lap 20 on, after that last pit stop, what was it like battling with Mikey there for those last, probably, I would say, at least 18 laps? You two were side by side, trying to work your way through lap cars. When it comes to racing, is that about as good as it gets?
Yeah, that's what we race for, is for that fun side by side close racing. Me and Mikey we were pretty close the entire time since that first caution after, I guess, lap 10 or so. And yeah, the last 80 laps was basically white knuckle racing, and it was a lot of fun. And you could always count on racing with Mikey, and it's going to be clean and close, and just no worries with racing with him.
Oh, definitely. We don't even have the words for it. It was just an awesome job by every one of every driver out here, especially you two, to race as good as you did. I don't think you even made contact with each other, not once, not a single bump or scratch on those cars. Just really good, clean racing. You couldn't ask for anything better. Just fast. Same question, kind of coming into tonight. We always expect to see you be fast. So what did you think your odds were here of getting the win? And was that better or worse? Did it work out better or worse for you here than you thought?
I always feel like I got a good shot at these larger tracks. That's kind of where I do better at than the short tracks. So, I see Michigan, and I feel like I have a good shot at it. I'm never really good here, though, and I'm still trying to figure out these cars. I for some reason can't figure out how to drive them on the long runs as well as Mikey can. He was definitely faster than me at the end of the runs, and I had a bit more short run speed than he did. Yeah, it was just it was a close battle coming in and off of Pert Road, especially that last one, and then kind of got held up by lap traffic, and then we swapped positions like once or twice, and he got me at the end there. And once he got in front, I just could not pull off a pass. He was just faster than me, and so I was just trying my best to keep up with him there.
You did a good job there. Ended up being about a 0.5 in the second gap. So, again, you led the most laps. Just came up a little short, but some great battling there to get to the end. So we know you got some sponsors and shout-outs. Who would those be for that second place finish?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for you guys for doing broadcast. Hope it was a fun one to watch out there. I'd like to thank Global Building Contractors, Dan Butler Designs, and our series sponsor, Iracing Drivers World. And just give a shout out to my wife and my son, my mom and dad, And yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
All right, so we then had a mic little issue there, but coming away with the win here tonight, that of course is Mikey Neal, and that number 8 machine started first, finished first, so the top two didn't change position at the end from start to finish, but during the race, quite a few spots went back and forth. You ended up leading 24 laps here tonight, putting it in victory lane. So first off, as always, congrats on the win. And of course, how does it feel to be sitting in victory lane after you did your backwards lap here?
Yeah, this one actually kind of feels pretty cool. I only got about 20 laps in practice compared to everybody else, so I was a little bit late. But the first 30 laps were just kind of learning the track. I ended up getting the pole. I was actually kind of really surprised about that. I was a little bit slower, but then I picked it up in qualifying, ran a really good lap, and I kind of let Jameer by just to kind of see where he was running at, and when that caution came out, I didn't really know I was going to work out, but then I kind of noticed during the middle run, my car was really, really strong, and then once I got to the end of the run, it was even stronger. So I was going to try to use that to my advantage a little bit, and so I ended up pitting, I think it was around lap 30, I ended up pitting, which was a decent pit stop. But I kind of struggled during that run a little bit on the short run, but then I noticed I started to catch Jameer up and up again, and I think it was down to 9/10 of a second. And so I went really, really aggressive on the pit stop, and I went from about 0.9 to 0.2 just in the pits, and then that allowed me to stay kind of behind him. And then after that, again, the run after that was actually really good. I actually consistently caught him during the run, but at the end of the run, he started to get away a little bit, but I used up my stuff, so I knew I had to use that for my advantage for the next run. But, I think it was really fun after that. And I mean, him traded a couple positions, got held up a little bit, but the one that really got him, I saw a lap car on the outside, and when he was outside of me, I mean, I knew that was going to be my advantage to kind of use that car as a pick, and I was able to do it, and that just kind of gave me the lead. And then from then on, I mean, he stayed on my bumper. We were equally as fast, and then once we got down to the last 4 laps, I changed my line a little bit, and I started to slowly pull away, so I knew that's what I just had to do, and from then on, I finished it out really well. I kept my time, and was able to get it to victory lane tonight.
You definitely used the pick. As we were watching, we figured one of you, if not both of you, would use lap cars or even lead lap cars for picks at some point. And indeed, you did use, I believe it's a 99 that you were able to get by using the 99 to help you get by to put it into victory lane. But we don't want to keep you here too long. We know you got to school in the morning. So that being said, we know you got some shout-outs and possibly some sponsors you want to thank.
Oh, yeah, I got to thank KM and PRG. Teammates, thank you guys all. And I also got to thank VRN. We love having you guys broadcast every race, and hopefully have you guys for next year. Got to thank the main sponsor series, Iracing Drivers World. Also got to thank Global Building Contractors and Dan Butler Designs. And got to thank Mom and Dad. I know they're both watching. Thank you guys for letting me run, and I had a good time. Hoping my dad's not spamming the chat too much. I got to thank Dan and Justin, our owners. They do a great job. We had a fun, clean race tonight. I got to thank all the viewers out there. Thank you guys for tuning in every week. We love having you guys. And hopefully this season finishes out really fun, or really good, because it's really, really fun. And we'll see what happens. Getting kind of midway to the end, and it's going to be a really fun ending of this series. And then also got to give a shout out to Jameer and Huffy. I know they both had really good races coming in second and third. So Huff, my teammate, thank you. Jameer had a heck of a run tonight. I just got him at the very last second. So this is a really good track for me, at least, that I've kind of learned throughout. And so this track up north is definitely harder, but getting better at it.
Well, definitely getting better. I thought you were good to begin with, but always out there improving on the track. So again, congrats on the win, and congrats to everyone on their top 3 finishes and everyone for making the race here tonight. Before we sign off, we are got to thank all the sponsors, of course, here for this series. A big shout out to the race sponsors here for tonight's race. That is Dan Butler Designs, Leo's Culinary on that in Rochester Hills, and Global Building Contractors, all general sponsors here for tonight. And, of course, Iracing Drivers World, your presenting sponsor here for tonight's race. On the broadcast side of things, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the following partners here for 2018. Those are Walls Beard Co., Sim Speed Shop, Northwest Racing Series, Ohio IndyCar League, and iBog. And of course, for all the donations that come in chat, all those do help as well. So thanks for tuning in here tonight. That will do it for tonight's racing action. We will see you tomorrow night with the Northwest Xfinity Series at 10:30 p.m. Central Time. Don't miss any of the racing action. Make sure you subscribe here to VRN on YouTube, and you won't miss a thing. We'll see you tomorrow night.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be used in any form without the authorized written consent of Virtual Racing Network. VRN would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.